Hey, it's Pete Checkley for Sample Library Review, and today I'm checking out PianoForte by Audio Brewers. Audio Brewers are extending their range of extremely detailed instruments with PianoForte, an exquisitely sampled Fazioli F212 piano. When I say exquisitely sampled, Audio Brewers have sampled every possible sound from every possible position in both stereo and hyper-realistic ambisonics. Combined with 24 velocity layers, this piano is not only incredibly detailed, it promises to deliver an unrivaled organic performance. While we are spoilt with so many sample piano options, what does PianoForte bring new to the table? PianoForte downloads at around 50 gigabytes and contains over 33,500 samples. It comes in both ambisonics and stereo versions and contains sustains, unicorda, muted and sound design pads. It's recorded in a pristine 24-bit and 48 kHz resolution, and it has up to 24 velocity layers for hyper-realistic playing. There are over 20 presets that are ready to play, and it requires the full version of Contact version 6.2 or above. The original price is €149, yet it's on offer for €79 at the moment. So here we go, here is PianoForte. Now, there's a couple of things I'm going to say right off the bat. The first thing is, if you look in the folders on the left, you can see there's the ambisonics version and the stereo. Now, I'm going to focus on the stereo version. If you're not going to be using the ambisonics features, so like sort of VR and surround, etc., the ambisonics piano is actually 29 gigabytes, whereas the stereo version is just over 20. So 50 gigabytes seems like a lot of real estate to use up. However, you can just use one version or the other. So without further ado, I believe, especially for pianos, there are so many sample pianos out there, which is absolutely great. For media composers or just composers or hobbyists, you might fall into one of two categories. One, you've played piano all your life and spent hours and hours and hours in the instrument and sort of getting to know it really, really well. Or, like me, I focus on guitar for my entire life, and then when I got into composing again, I had to play piano, and my piano skills have never been absolutely fantastic, never going to be a concert pianist, but I love playing all these different pianos and seeing what they have to offer. So PianoForte is no exception. Right out of the box, I was completely blown away. I'm going to tell you why. So there is so much content to the piano, and that's what really seals the deal for me, especially for the asking price. If I open the mixes, you can see it's just pure class, just the way the instrument loads. Here's the animation. Really classy GUI, very clear. We have the quick controls, which is controlling the reverb. So it's just standard D minor. So quite a lot of reverb going on there, but you can instantly just add some really nice atmosphere straight off the bat. And down below we have our main, then our modulation, which we'll talk about shortly, the effects rack and the mixer. So there are some pre-mixes already made, which are really useful. And Audio Brewers have taken lots of care and attention to provide some documentation so you understand exactly how the instrument works. So the main thing is the piano sounds great. Now, I'm just going to very quickly load the mixes again. Let's get rid of the reverb. I can't remember the original setting. And you can see it loads really quickly. The memory footprint, 450 megabytes. The only thing I will do is just bring it up. Now, whether your Contact is set to load in at -6 decibels or 0, you still might want to bring it up a little bit above that. So now we have a nice so it's a very comfortable volume to play. My first thoughts when I was playing the pianoforte was it sounds so realistic, and the feel when you're playing it is just like my controller's been thrown out the window and I have that Fazioli piano right in front of me. It just sounds organic and emotional and works incredibly well. Now that's down to the 24 different velocity layers and the sampling. So for me, it sounds absolutely stunning. The detail is there. Like I say, it was sampled from every possible angle using different mics, etc. And it just works, like I say, incredibly well. Now, that's only one mix. So before we start looking at the other mixes, we're going to very, very quickly just click on what has been described as the hamburger menu, which is just there on the left in the GUI. And you can change these 5 parameters. So if I just push the pedal down, you can hear probably my pedal in real life, but also the pedal sound. So I could bring this up. Okay, let's say you want to just not have those at all. That's just the sound of my pedal in my room playing. So you can control the pedals, you can control the attack, the sustain, the keystroke. So if I bring the sustain down, you can bring it down just to hammers, almost like it's muted, or you can have it really long. Moving on, we're going to take a quick look at the different mixes. So remember, this is the stereo version, and the ambisonic version has completely different mixes as well. So by default, you have the balanced, which is the perfect sound of the pianoforte. Then you have a punchy mix, which is good for jazz, according to the instructions. I'm not going to attempt to play any kind of jazz. But it's punchier, it's a little bit brighter. So that's what that mix is. And then you have the intimate, which is more for movie scores. That'd probably be my go-to mix. And then you have the raw mix, which is a combination of all 3, and you can tweak that to your liking. Now this will be a little bit louder than the other mixes, so then there's the option for the tightness of the sort of piano. So if I go back to the balance mix, and you can just change that, and it will just change the feel of almost like the attack, I guess. And you can solo and mute each mix. Now, above is where you add the effects. Now, I've not actually assigned any effects yet, so we'll talk about the effects next. So effects are really straightforward. Now we're on the balanced mic. So what we're going to see are these different effect slots above it. Now reverb's already loaded in and that's turned on. So if I go to the effects panel, you can actually select the rest of the effects you want. So if I just go for, let's go for some distortion. Okay, so that's just a preset of distortion. If I go back to the mixer, you can hear nothing is happening. So you just need to activate in the mixer the effect. I don't like the pedal noises with that going on. So handy menu there. So we have some distortion. And my my sustain pedal for some reason is hanging a little bit, but it's not the instrument, it's my pedal. So let's go back to the effects. So distortion sounds cool. Let's go for legacy delay, and I'll make it we'll go quarter notes. All right, okay. We'll just leave everything as it is and then go back to the mixer, activate it, and we have some delay. And of course that tempo syncs to whatever your DAW's in. So mine's in 120 at the moment, just standard. And yeah, just simply build more effects. So let's just put some transients on there. I'm just being fairly lazy and just putting them on. Again, I have not activated them. So some very subtle transients there. And that's how the effects window works. So on our standard piano mixes patch, that's what you can get. There is also the option of a sequencer as well, and you can even sequence the effects, which is a really, really cool feature. Now the final page is the modulation. So here you can assign what you're going to change. So these are already assigned to ADSR, pitch, dynamics and velocity, but you can change different parameters. So the ADSR, obviously you can change the attack. The decay, sustain, release, etc. Pitch, if you want to transpose, if you only play in C, for example, but you decide, right, I want to play in, let's go D sharp. Whoops, the daisy. So my mouse doesn't want to move there. So you can just transpose the pitch, absolutely no problems there. You can adjust the glide. That's okay. And then you can play with dynamics and the expression. Just occurred to me I've not actually tried the mod wheel with it at all. And the velocity curve as well, so that's really, really useful depending on which controller you're using. You can set the curve completely to work with your controller. So with my controller, I use a complete control S61, and I'm forever adjusting velocity curves of instruments just to make sure it works perfectly, and it always does. But that's a great feature to have, and it's really quick to do. I have to admit though, straight out the box, this velocity curve is absolutely perfect. So absolutely no worries there. And that's a really simple look at the main mixes instrument. So what I'm going to do is turn off the mic, and I'm going to play through the unicorda mixes, and then we're going to look at the different layers and pads and presets. So The Unicorder mixes will be a little bit quieter, just obviously due to the nature of Unicorder. So I'd probably adjust for that with a little bit more volume. However, my little improvisations will give you a good idea of exactly the timbre and the feel you'll get from it. So if you move on to the microphones, I have just loaded the microphones. I'm just going to load them again. Still very impressed how quickly these will load. I'm streaming off an SSD, but for a library that is this big, you know, it's really, really impressive, really, really quick. So the microphones, again, it's exactly the same setup. However, you have 3-band EQ on every single mix, and the different categories are raw, which again is a combination of everything. If I need to turn this up a little bit again. And then you have ears, which is a set of microphones which are placed at ear level. So if you imagine you're performing, it's like your ears are right in front of you. So yeah. And that is my favourite mix. That is the one for me that holds that realism absolutely perfectly. So the frame is where, almost where the hammers are striking the strings. So it's a lot more of a close sound. And you can actually hear that, almost hear the string being struck. Let me just crank it up a little bit more. So you really can hear the action of the hammer striking, which is very cool. And then the soundboard, it's just all the sound of the soundboard. There we go. A very detailed description there. And it just has that brilliant sort of room feel, very sort of intimate and yeah, just full of character. So that's the different mixes. Now, if you go into the Unicorder, it has exactly the same setup. So just boot that up. That's a very old school saying there. So we have the same mixes, and again, I'm going to turn it up. By the way, this is something I really appreciate, the fact you don't load the instrument and suddenly everything's peaking into the red. It is one of my pet hates with instruments, so I generally load everything in at sort of -15 anyway. So yeah, I actually really like the fact that was taken into consideration. So the Unicorder mix is exactly the same. If I play the ears, which, like I say, is my favourite, and I'm going to just turn it up a little bit. Just sounds absolutely delightful. So for me, I'd use it on soundtrack music. That's generally sort of my style, and it would just fit absolutely perfectly into, you know, on top of an orchestra or in some crime music or sort of dramatic underscore. It'll work absolutely perfectly. So that's the microphone mixes. Now we have two other categories. We've got layered and the pads. So let's check those out. So I've loaded the layered patch. Now the layered patch again looks very, very similar with the first three tabs, but the layers, instead of having mixes, it now has different layers in. So you can mix and match, create some absolutely crazy different sounds, which I'm going to attempt to do on the fly right now. So let's say, yeah, let's just add an effect. Modern delay, so that's on there, and then some tape delay. I mean, I don't know how this is going to end up sounding. So transients. I'm not adjusting any parameters, just putting it all in there. So we have all of this going on, absolutely wonderful. Then if I go back to the layers, I'm going to, for each different mix, just put something different on. I'll put modern delay. You can have some disalignment. We did a little bit of panning. Who knows what this is going to sound like. There's a shock. It sounds absolutely lovely. Amazing. One thing I forgot to do was crank it up a little bit. So each layer has different effects on now. In fact, I'm going to kill some reverb on some of them. So tape delay sounds cool. Let's change that to saturation. It was very unexpected, but yeah, for me that sounds pretty cool. Just would need to turn up a little bit more. And you can just play around the different effects and sort of do a little bit of sound design, but that isn't where the sound design ends. So very cool patch, the layered patch. I'm now in the pads patch, and if I play just G major chord, there is no pad. Once again, we're going to go to the hamburger menu, and you can add different, they feel almost like overlays to the piano. So let's say if I put the Abyss on. So yeah, it just feels a bit like you can hear the piano, but you have this sort of pad effect on top. Then you've got Hammond. Very cool. Let's go muted. And we don't have to have the sustains on. And as we're in stack mode, you can obviously just add whatever you want. So I like having that on there. And let's add Frozen. So bouncing. So once again, for soundtrack music, especially sort of crime and suspense, these timbres are absolutely brilliant. And you can just stack and mix and match, and then obviously you can add your effects, adjust the modulation as need be, and obviously for different layers. So these are the 5 different layers. You can change the balance of volume, and you can pan them left and right and create these really, really cool sounds. So bouncing's on layer 3. I want the bounce to be panned hard left. Let's have the noisy loop panned hard right. And let's change Frozen to bashed, and we bring that down quite a lot. And then layer 1 is just going to have our standard piano sound. So let's bring that up a little bit and add some reverb. So if I go to effects, reverb, back to the layers, turn the reverb on. Oh, it's already on. And here's a brand new sort of patch. I'm not going to lie to you, I may have overdone it there. So let's turn bashed off. That's cleaned up a little bit more. So yeah, it's all about experimenting and playing around with different sounds. And if you go into pads 2, again, loads very, very quickly. Go into the burger menu, and you'll see there are different different pads. It says a tape pad or a tape effect. One I would definitely use a lot. Let's go for airy. And the charm of the instrument is you've got no idea what it's going to sound like until you've actually made it and put it together, as I proved on the early ones I just showed. But yeah, it's you know, the sound design element is great. So we have a beautifully sampled piano, lots of different mix perspectives, unicorda version, and we have the sound design elements as well. So if you go into the presets, so sorry, that is got preset pianos. Start off with that, and you could just really have a great starting point on the sound design. Just got to turn it up again. So that's instant soundtrack piano there, and just start playing with them. Now you can see there is something on the mod wheel as well, so if you just so you can hear what the mod wheel's doing. Sounds very cool. So lots of different presets to play through of the pianos. So that's some fantastic sound design. Let's just play one more. Okay, so you can actually see the quick controls that's bringing the reverb in. Yeah, so plenty of presets to play through, and then just some other almost like pad type presets. And you can tell they're the pads, so if you go in the Hamburg menu you can see sort of what's being used. Now obviously these are properly designed, not just randomly smashed together like I did. So let's have a quick listen. And the final folder contains almost like pad presets. So this one is called Amnesia. And these are all very well designed, as opposed to the pads I sort of smashed together very, very quickly. Some pretty cool stuff on the mod wheel going on there. So it looks to me like it's bringing in the second layer, and obviously you can assign anything, right click to learn CC automation. So yeah, very, very cool. Let's just hear, did I stutter? And one more gate shredder. Okay. Yes. Very cool for pulses. Just minded the level when the bass kicks in. So yeah, 20 presets to play through, sort of to get you started on the sound design, and obviously some incredibly lush sounding pianos. So all in all, there's plenty going on. Now the last thing is this sort of, it's a bit like an XY pad. Well, it will be an XY. I'll be honest, I've been working for hours and hours and hours with this instrument, and I absolutely love it, but I don't feel 100% confident enough to go through what that actually does in detail. So I've noticed certain instruments that will start like wiggling around. If you start moving, it will say recording, and it's one which I'd really check the extremely detailed handbook with. But yeah, it's just another layer to an absolutely fantastic piano instrument. So my final thoughts about PianoForte. Well, first of all, it is an outstanding piano to play. You just feel like you're playing that Fazioli piano. It's right in front of you and off you go. It just sounds fantastic out the box. I love the design of the instrument. The different mix options is really, really useful, and the fact you can just sort of pop onto the mixer and just, you know, go from balanced to intimate, just click at the button, put some effects on if you want to. Really, really straightforward to use. I didn't find myself looking in the instructions a huge amount, apart from I will be for this window, so I'm really interested to see what the XY does, and I use a lot of XY pads myself. So yeah, it's another dimension, like I say, to this fantastic sounding piano. The Unicorda mixes, again, sound absolutely great. I'm a huge fan of Unicorda playing, and the style, and then obviously the different microphones, having the ears mix especially, just really puts you on the piano stool playing away. What's really important for me is, as I've said, I'm never going to be a concert pianist, but I do play a lot of piano in my compositions, again for crime, tension, underscore, that kind of thing. Not only do I need a fantastic, lovely sounding piano, which PianoForte really does have, the sound design elements are absolutely brilliant. You could spend hours and hours and hours using what is built into PianoForte to create awesome new piano sounds, and that is what is key for me. You've got a great piano, but you've got a great sound design element to it as well. So we're talking, you know, thousands of possible different sounds you can create. So yeah, for me, it's got this utility. It's going to sound great in mixes, but equally I can start messing around with it and morphing it and putting it into some sort of different styles and different types of composition. So it's a big win, and when you think about the cost of the instrument, that's an incredible achievement that Audio Brewers have made. So really, really blown away. And then normally I will talk about things that I think, you know, could be done to improve, and it's one of those really rare occasions where I just cannot think of anything off the top of my head that I'd improve. There is so much to this instrument. It's going to take me a lot longer to get the best out of it. So yeah, hats off, really, really impressed. So all that leads me to say is, once again, thank you so much for checking out this first look of PianoForte by Audio Brewers. I hope you enjoyed what you heard. Please leave a comment and let us know if you would use this in your workflow, what you like about the instrument, and leave us a like if you like the video. Please subscribe to our channel and check out all of our other videos, and then head over to samplibreview.com to check out everything that is going on in the world of virtual instruments. Have a fantastic day and an even better week. Take care, and we'll see you soon.